Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining as the clock strikes 8:30, March 10th. I can't believe it's March 10th. Episode 2025, episode 32. If you are not subscribed yet to my YouTube, it is youtube.com/Brew Media. Go there now, like, share, and of course, all comments are welcomed. What a action-packed night I have. Tonight, we're going to look at the recent job numbers report that came in, ADP numbers, non-farm payroll. The markets took a complete bloodbath. Also, we're going to get into some crypto news. We're going to expose major hypocrisy and corruption within the government. And, of course, much more, your questions and comments. Remember that it is better to die on your feet for freedom than to die a slave to the state. Let's get into it. So, story number one, I wanted to talk about the recent job report that came out. This is for jobs created in the private sector, okay? This was a massive miss. The street was looking for 162,000 jobs, but instead, we received only 77,000 jobs. This was a huge decline from the previous month of 186,000 jobs. And this was far below their lowest estimate of 146,000 jobs. So literally 50% off their lowest average estimates. The highest estimate was looking for 300,000 jobs. I mean, there was no way they were going to create that many jobs in this economy. So this was a very, very negative report. And instead of the markets rallying on the report, they all went down and continue to go down because they're worried about the implications on earnings from a slowing economy and the recent and possibly the recession that's coming. I've been predicting stagflation. And also another thing that's thrown a wrench in everything of the uncertainty with tariffs. And also talking about the tariffs, Trump supposedly slapped on Canada and Mexico again. Aren't on them. They're on us, right? So again, when he says, I'm going to slap them with tariffs, again, they're not on them. They're actually on us. And I want to point out some of the hypocrisy within the Democrat Party. Who are rightly right now pointing out that these tariffs will be paid for by American consumers in the form of higher prices. So right now, the Democrats are right. It's the Republicans that are either silent or not talking about it enough that are wrong, right? Or they're just pretending that foreign companies are going to eat it. However, I must point out that they were completely silent when Biden not only kept Trump tariffs in place on China when he got elected, but also when Biden added more tariffs on China during his term. All the Democrats back then were silent, the same way Republicans are right now. But now that it's politically convenient for Democrats, because Trump is doing it, now they have the courage to tell the truth, which is really why I cannot stand, I cannot be a part of either party, because in order to be in either political gang, you have to basically bend the truth and lie constantly. But I digress from that. So back to the numbers and tariffs. So Trump ended up reversing some of his tariffs on autos and auto parts. Apparently, Trump recognizes that tariffs, his favorite word in the dictionary, not God, not other words, on autos would have been bad for the U.S. economy. So he conveniently reversed that. I guess the auto lobby, basically was grabbing him by the collar and saying, hey, Mr. President, you better not do this, or we're going to wipe you out in the midterms. But the president said that his next big move will happen on April 2nd, because he didn't want to make it April 1st, because he didn't want the world to believe it was an April Fool's joke. Well, Mr. President, If you think tariffs are so wonderful, then why would you wait until the second? Do them right now. Let's make America greater sooner rather than later. And here's the deal. The reason why he's pushing them off is because he thinks he could bluff our trading partners into some weird negotiation. However, their response to the Trump tariff so far has been to retaliate. And this is what is causing so much uncertainty in the markets and why companies aren't hiring as much. And even worse, Canadian markets are now dumping American goods. They don't like how we're treating them. And so individual companies, we're not talking about the government of Canada, we're talking about private companies, are now dumping American products. Also, China's jumping on that, and so is Mexico. It turns out that Trump is the April Fool himself, thinking that in any way this is good for America or good for our economy. He's the one that's becoming a big fool. And if he really believes that foreigners pay the tax, and of course, all of this tariff nonsense is weighing heavily on the markets, along with the job reports, and again, fear of recession. Now let's get into the numbers. Hey Dennis, how you doing, buddy? Thank you for joining. So the Dow today was down 3%, 980 points. That's on top of last week's losses. The Nasdaq was down 4.5%, 720 points. The Russell was down another 3 points. Bitcoin, wow, taking it on the chin again, fell below 80,000. Now is at 79,000. They had a low earlier of 77,000. I mean, just a bloodbath in crypto. Now, there's another reason to bring back manufacturing, because a lot of the crypto bros, they're going to need jobs now, as they watch their crypto slide into the abyss. But here's the problem with the crypto bros that are out there. They don't have any skills, right? They've been wasting their time, playing around with Bitcoin instead of learning real skills and going out there and creating real stuff. Thank you. So while everything got hit, what was flat? Gold. Gold just stayed flat. I mean, it was off, barely a percentage of a point, of 1 point. I mean, it barely even moved. Silver as well, basically was flat. I mean, it's still above $32 an ounce. But both are still at their, basically at their record highs. And I've been saying that if you cannot afford gold at $2,900 per ounce, then load up on silver. That is trading at a massive discount to gold. Now let's talk about the high flyers. Nvidia stock down 7% again. Tesla, this one really is long overdue. Down almost 15% on the day. This stock is getting killed. I wonder when the shareholders are going to demand Elon to get back to the Tesla office. Really, they need to hold an emergency meeting at every single one of Elon's businesses as a CEO, and they need to have a vote immediately whether or not to keep this guy as head of the CEOs of these companies, because clearly he's being derelict of duty. He needs to go. Then let's talk about MicroStrategies. This is Michael Saylor's stock. This is a guy who has borrowed tens of billions of dollars buying Bitcoin. Basically he took a software company and turned it into a big Bitcoin stock. And it is completely over leveraged. This guy has borrowed billions of dollars. It is down now 55% from their highs. Today, if you own that stock, you got scalped another 15%. Let's face it, Michael's strategy blows. And the right strategy, again, should be for the shareholders of MicroStrategy to go find a new CEO. Because here's the truth about it. Whether if you talk about Elon or Michael Saylor or any of these guys, right, as you're watching these stocks get hammered, they're going to walk away with their bag of money. You're the one that's going to be left holding the bag. And you better believe, with all these people who are complaining about Biden and his spending, trust me, when it hits the fan, Trump and the Republicans are going to bail everyone out, right? They're going to bail out the crypto bros. They're going to bail out Elon. They're going to bail out all of these stocks that are getting hammered, right? If this is the pin that I've been talking about that's going to come, if we've now, pricked that stock market bubble, the crypto bubble, the housing bubble, you don't think Congress is not going to start throwing around trillions of dollars? What's going to happen to the dollar then? Right now, if you annualize the rate of inflation that the Federal Reserve is creating, we are right now, as of Trump's first few months, we are now creating upwards of 6% inflation for the year, if you annualize that out for the year. Okay, that's before any disasters, any, extra spending. This is before this bill, right, that Congress is going to dump on everyone's lap. This $4.5 trillion, more tax cuts. So things are going to get more expensive. And I'm trying to, wake up my MAGA friends, my Trump voters who are, defending him at every whim every wind that blows. And I'm saying, if you keep wasting your time defending this guy, right, when you should be protecting yourself or protecting your family, right, you're the one that's going to be left holding the bag. Trump's going to be fine, right? He's going to pull his chips off the table. These guys, they know just when to walk away, right? The problem are the hodlers, the people who ride this stuff down to the end. You are the people that are going to get destroyed, not them. They're still going to be in their mansions. They're even with bankruptcies. These guys stay in their mansions, right? You're going to get the bill. And so I'm trying to wake everyone up to what's happening. Now, mind you, these are not jobs lost in the government that I mentioned earlier, but rather jobs lost in the private sector. So these are the jobs that matter. So check this out. So we had over 172,000 announcements of layoffs that are coming. This is by far the most jobs announced for layoffs since April of 2020. Guaranteed Fox and Newsmax ain't going to bring that one up. Right when the economy was shut down and forcefully by the government. So think about that. We've never seen numbers this high for companies ready to lay off people since April of 2020. That means that the last times we've seen this many layoffs announced, you had to go all the way back to the beginning of COVID. In fact, the last times we had this many jobs reported to be lost, Trump was in office. But everybody just forgets that. So we had received two very weak numbers. And so the bar was set very low coming into the non-farm payroll report. That came in after these two sets of horrible numbers. The estimate for the non-farm payroll was estimated at 160,000 jobs. But instead, we got 151. And I am guessing that eventually this, too, will give us a negative print in the near future as the economy continues to roll over. It was still a miss in non-farm payroll. Granted, it's not as big as the other two. Now, there was a revision, in last month's report that was revised from 143,000 jobs to 125,000 jobs. A mistake of 18,000 jobs that were overcounted last month. I don't believe this 151,000 job number. I believe that this number will be revised down next month. I would like to see if the media covers it. I will. Because all of these numbers are notorious for being overstated month after month. And showcased better than they actually are. Most of last year's numbers regarding jobs are all revised down. And it added to almost 1 million extra jobs that were counted that actually didn't happen. So the voters, they understood that the economy was sick. The problem is a lot of voters still don't get it, that the economy is still sick, and they want to pretend that we're entering this golden age. But here's the truth. Central planning doesn't work. No matter how much both parties try it, it still doesn't work. What works is following the Constitution, sound money, sound economic principles, free trade, freedom. It works. Central planning has failed everywhere it goes. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have government, and I'm going to get into that soon, later in the story, real corruption in government and things like that are happening right now. You do need, again, I want, police to protect the citizens if they need be. We want the government to protect us from being ripped off by our corporate masters. There should be basic civil rights protections for people, right? And government's supposed to protect your freedoms, right? They're not supposed to steal them away. So it's the invisible hand in freedom of choice and the freedom to consume and sell your labor and goods to whoever you choose as an individual. Government is not supposed to be picking winners or losers. It is not selling favors to people, corporations, just because they donated to you. So that's going to lead me into my second story, because that's exactly what we have going on now. Bankers are taking over. The party will likely Yeah, well, hi, Amy. Hi, Dennis. So, yeah. Here's the thing. Look, why does everybody think Trump he had 4 of the richest people in the world behind him at his inauguration. Those 4 people had more wealth than the bottom 50% of Americans, right? Now, why were they there? I mean, Bill Gates was there. I thought MAGA hated Bill Gates. Zuckerberg was there, right? Why did these people go to Trump? Because he's got something to offer, right? Trump is for sale. Check this out. You want to see the swamp? You want to see some real swamp stuff taking place? You cannot miss this story. So the swamp is bigger and healthier than ever. Check this out, guys. Because I had to literally double and triple check this. Because this is not what the average MAGA voted for, right? If you voted for Trump, you did not vote for this. I don't even have to ask the people out there. I already know you did not vote for this, but this is what's going on. You guys thought you guys were going to vote for law and order and putting away those individuals that rip you off and injure you and scam you, right? You voted against uneven justice, right? So check this out. President Trump is halting and moved to dismiss enforcement into 89 investigations into corporations that already had filed against them. These crimes included all 42 corporations facing Consumer Financial Protection Bureau cases and investigations, 20 corporations facing Department of Justice and Securities and Exchange Commission cases, and investigations into possible foreign corruption practices and violations. 8 corporations, 8 of them, are facing DOJ Civil Rights Division investigations. Get this. 1 case is against Elon Musk's SpaceX. So, yes, the guy in Doge, who's leading Doge, or he's not leading it, nobody even knows who the leader is. He has a civil rights case right now against him. Trump just said, no, we're going to get rid of that. But yet, if I do something like that, whatever he's, the case against him, they would come down on me with the hammer. I don't have those political connections. So 7 corporations are facing DOJ environmental and natural resource case investigations. Of course, we cannot leave out crypto corruption from this list, especially being that we have the crypto president. 7 cryptocurrency corporations are right now, they were facing SEC cases and investigations. And last but not least, 6 corporations that are facing Equal Employment Opportunity Commission cases, meaning this means cases where people were clearly discriminated against for employment opportunities. Regulatory bodies that would be able to take up these cases to protect the average citizen from being ripped off or discriminated against have been completely neutered. And as a result, we are living in a much more lawless world now. The role of government was to protect our rights, right? Not steal them away. Not allow lawlessness from running over your society. So why is the Trump administration doing this? Why? Because 34 of those corporations, what do you know, the plurality of corporations, were donors to his campaign and inauguration. They gave collectively, now this doesn't count the money that they gave during the campaign, because we already know it was, near $1 billion, these companies. But just the inauguration, which I was unaware that corporations donated to pay for the inauguration. I thought that was kind of on the bill of the White House. I thought it was just our bill. But 34 of the corporations, they spent $34 million just on the festivities for Trump. These 34 corporations are facing 60 federal investigations and lawsuit. First thing I have to point out is that apparently the grift doesn't stop in politics when the campaign is over, right? I really had no idea that corporations also line up to fund the inaugurational festivities. I guess this is just another way for corporate masters to buy politicians and get political favors from politicians willing to sell themselves and the citizenry for a few nickels and dimes. Well, to us, it's not nickels and dimes. That would be real money. But to somebody like Trump, who's worth billions of dollars, 34 million, not a lot of money, but it is, This is the swamp at its best and worst at the same time. Now, if you think that it is a good idea for the president to remove investigations into corporations who bribed him, no, I'm sorry, just gave him money, is somehow good for the average American or good for the rule of law, this is the opposite of capitalism or free market principles that I preach. This is not following the Constitution. This is why we need to get together as Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarians, and every time we see a politician sell themselves, right, whore themselves out, we need to primary these people and get them the hell out of office, right? The White House, a Senate seat, a congressman or woman's chair should not be for sale, okay? It shouldn't. And I don't care what party it's in, it's wrong. I spoke out the same way, like when Biden's son was, selling ridiculous paintings, for millions of dollars or whatever that was, or Burisma or any of that stuff, right? Again, a lot of nepotism, a lot of kickbacks, a lot of side hustle deals. Again, I call it out on both sides. I wish everybody would join me in that. You are not helping your party or country or family by protecting these complete criminals. This is the kind of economy that I rail against. This is crony capitalism. It's not capitalism. Capitalism gets the blame. This is crony capitalism. See, in a just and fair society, everyone will be held to the same level of accountability, not given special treatment just because you have a deeper checkbook and can get access to a president or a congressman. Just remember, who are these greedy, who are these corporations ripping off? They're ripping you and me off. Now, if Trump was going to abolish the SEC and the other regulatory departments and put everyone under the same market system, then fine, we can have that conversation, right? But that's not what's happening. Me and you still have to abide by those rules, while these favored companies do not. They are ripping us off. They are ripping off the average taxpayer. This is a level of corruption you're going to feel, right? Because now these corporations are emboldened to rip you off even more now that they've been chosen and freed by our government. Our government are backing these criminals. They were caught with their hand in the cookie jar. Look, I said the same thing back in '08, right? When when Obama and Bush came out with their TARP program to bail out the banks, right? I was saying, let them fail, right? Why should some poor schlup in the middle of Detroit or Philadelphia or Miami or, LA have to, bail out reckless banks that went out there, took your money, gambled with it, right? They acted completely reckless. And why did they do that? Because, again, the government writes the laws that favor these people, right? And then how did they repay you, right? You got the bill, but then you lost your home too. You lost your job, right? And a lot of people forget, they get amnesia. There are people that never recovered from that, right? If you lost everything in '08, right, and you died by the year of, let's say, 14, right? Let's say you were elderly or whatever. Maybe you had something wrong with you, right? And you died. You never got out of that poverty hole that you were put in, right? And again, because we didn't bail out because we bailed out the banks, they are now more reckless now than ever. Wait till you see when these banks collapse now, what happened back then is going to be nothing. These corporations have a completely unfair advantage to their competitors who still have to be held to these artificial regulations. Trump is literally allowing these few guys to rip you off. Look, I'm a free market guy. I'm all for deregulation. However, it should go through Congress, and this should be at least discussed to the American people. But of course, they have to be targeted evenly, without favor, and without allowing one group to steal and pillage from another group. I thought we all agreed that stealing was wrong, but apparently not. When we literally shut down investigations where it was clear that you've been ripped off, it sends a loud and clear message. Like I was talking about, there's that guy who, Steve Bannon, right? He got totally caught ripping off MAGA voters to build the wall after Trump lost the election in 20. And this guy should have went to prison. There are people right now sitting in prison because of what he did. But yet, he's got political connections. He pled guilty, and he paid a minimal fine compared to what he got. We're talking pennies on the dollar. What the government is telling you, if you are politically connected, it pays to rip people off. And that's not capitalism, and I certainly don't support that. Now, if that wasn't bad enough what I just said, and I thought I just said a lot of corruption, so this gets even worse. And again, this is verified stuff, so you can look this up. Trump is now reportedly charging $5 million to get private meetings with him at Mar-a-Lago. Now, can you imagine if Obama or Biden or Clinton was charging CEOs $5 million to meet with them privately while in office? Look, he's not campaigning anymore. He's in office. Fox News, Newsmax, they would have 24-hour coverage. Yet, I promise you, they have not brought up this story. Because if you dared to run these type of stories, they wouldn't get access to the president. Look at what just happened to the AP. The AP, they mentioned Gulf of Mexico. And Trump says, that's it. You lose your access. And that's a signal that, hey, if you don't say the speech that I want, you're gone. Just like now, you see the government going after protesters at the school. Why? Because they had a difference of opinion, right? Again, it wasn't that long ago that Nixon sent the National Guard to Kent State and shot kids, right, for protesting the Vietnam War, right? We are so close to that again. Why? Because you can't handle a difference of opinion? I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. I might not agree with everything Republicans and Democrats say, but damn it, I will fight for your right to say it. And I hope you stand with me. You might not agree with everything I say, but you should at least stand up for freedom of speech, right? But again, Trump being for sale and the Republican voters, being silent, including the media, is kind of concerning. This is not what you guys voted for. And I've said a dozen times in this program, you help nobody by pretending or lying for your party, right? I just called out the Democrats earlier in this program, because they were silent, when Biden wasn't doing the right thing regarding tariffs, right? Now I'm bringing it up here, the hypocrisy in the Republican Party. The entire move is corrupt, and I hate all the hypocrisy. When we talk about law and order and supporting capitalism, and then we make excuses for nonsense like this. Don't be the lapdog for either party, right? Speak out whenever you see government corruption. You guys deserve better than Fox and CNN or either political gain. Let me tell you something. If you're taking the time to watch this, you clearly care, right? And you clearly are tired of the same, each side fighting each other, each side pinning one side against the other, when in fact, both parties are corrupt. Both parties are bought and paid for by their corporate masters and donors. And, another thing, let's go back to Kamala Harris. Another reason why Kamala Harris lost was because, she's looking around at her donors saying, hey, what should I say next? Again, you can't run a campaign like that where, look, you might not agree with Bernie Sanders, but damn it, the man believes in what he believes in. And he doesn't look around at his donors and go, hey, what do you want me to say now? That's not, his prescription, right? That's not who that guy is. But that's why, part of the reason why Harris lost. Not to mention that the DNC, completely rigged the primaries and all of that, and Harris had such a, she was put in a really no-win situation. But again, she was bought and paid for. Let's just be honest about it. Democrats voted for her not because they were so enthusiastic about her, but because, look, she was the other choice for them, against Trump. When I was trying to say, hey, we have another choice over here, a choice that's, not bought and paid for. And the reason why us libertarians don't win national elections, you want to know why? Because we don't have billionaires in our party's pockets, right? We are literally grassroots, single donation people, right? We're not bought, right? So that's why we don't get the coverage that the billionaire class gets. So anyway, both parties, in my opinion, have ruined the country over the past 50 years. And this program is to expose the sheer BS that nobody else will talk about. Well, yeah, I mean, look, Amy, look, I don't agree. I agree with you. Harris was a terrible, candidate. And again, if the Democrats had a primary, right, they clearly would have picked somebody else, right? And the whole thing with Harris was, too, not only was she a bad candidate, right, she was bought off by the corporations on the left, but also, she had no real message. Her message was like joy and like, just pretending that the world is fine. Where Trump was like, hey, the world sucks and I'm here to fix it, right? Harris, but again, this is what happens when you don't allow the people to pick their candidate. And also, Harris had the weight of being with the Biden administration. I mean, it really was a no-win situation. And even with all that baggage, Trump still never got 50% of the vote. He still, with all this mandate stuff, he actually performed worse than all of Congress, and he only got 49.8% of the vote. So he didn't even get 50% of the voters. And I want to thank my independents, Green Party, Libertarians, who prevented either party from getting 50% of the vote. And mind you, that's with us getting no access to the media, no access on the internet, right? We have been shut out by the corporate donors, the two political parties that rigged the voting system, right? That prevent us from getting on the ballot. We still figured out a way to prevent either Trump or Harris from getting that plurality of 50%. And if you look at Congress, you know, this is the smallest margins Republicans have ever had going into the election. You know, look, I believe our economy's headed for a real wipeout. I've been saying this for a while. Look, I'm early to that party. You know, I've been protecting myself, waiting for this to happen. I would rather, you know, my investments to lose, right? I would rather the dollar do good. I would rather the American people do good, right? Because the way my strategy is, you know, I'm voting against the dollar, right? I'm voting, betting on that the economy is going to tank. So again, I'd rather the economy do good, right? I'd rather the dollar do good. I'd rather, you know, our sons and daughters and grandchildren to have opportunity. But it's unfortunate because both parties won't allow that to happen. Why? Central planning, big government, money printing, right? Nobody wants to do the right thing, right? Everybody thinks I'm the better central planner, and here we are watching the economy melt down. That's true, Dennis. You know what, Dennis? You hit the nail on the head. A lot of Bernie voters did not come out for Harris, and again, I cannot blame Bernie voters. You know, these people. But let me tell you, and you know, every Bernie voter that I know, they still have a bad taste in their mouth from the primaries in 2015, 16, and you know, they have every right to. You know, because this guy, he was the populist. He was I mean, he should have won that. I mean, you know, by every measure you look at it, and then the way that the party treated him after that, I mean, they would not rally around him. They distanced themselves from him. And I believe Bernie is actually the populace of that party, and they're missing opportunities by not promoting him more, by not. Now, I just heard somebody had emailed me earlier today that Bernie's starting to get big rallies again. That people are like, hey, wait, you know, we tried the corporate wing of the Democrats. You know, let's relook at this guy again. And now Trump's over, right? Trump can't run again. So his populism movement that he has run on, it's expiring in less than 4 years. So, you look, I'm not here to give either party advice, but if I was a Democrat, I would seriously, you know, give that vein of the Democrat Party a second look. Because I believe that the corporate, the donors, all of that, those people that hijacked your party, they are dragging you guys down.
Bobby, it's Bernie. It's true I got shafted. Thank you for the shaft. I got love your show. Hey, I just have to say, I really tried. Good night, Bobby Bones.
Thank you, Bernie. Usually I have Trump say something nice. So anyway, look, I'm going to cut it short tonight. I really appreciate everybody for coming. Please be safe out there. Call out corruption wherever you see it. Call out your own party, right? Call out people who are doing corrupt things in the government. Again, I'm going to say it 1,000 times. They're doing you no favors, right? Let's come together as Americans. Let's do the right thing. You know, stand up for our families, stand up for our values, you know, and that's it really. You know, listen, I really hope everybody has a great night. Thank you. And listen, I appreciate everybody, and take care.